Come on through, Cookie. Come on up on my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? Okay, Beyonce, girl, what is this lemonade mess? This is what I actually kind of came across when I'm actually on vacation, and I was actually out in Tiki 44. I'm in Las Vegas. Tiki 44 actually came and picked me up from the casino, and she, so we got to hurry back so we could see this lemonade. And I'm like, lemonade? What about it? So here we go. We hurry back. We get back to the house, and we're here with a bunch of friends. And it was something that you really needed to watch alone, I think, for the most part. Because I watched it with the group, and we all watched. And of course, whenever it comes to B, there's always a lot of high tension in the room, and there's people who love her, there's people who don't care for her, and then there's people who want to not like her, and you have that whole gamut of things. I like her. I'm not a Beehive person, but I like B, and I like what she does, and I like what she stands for, and I think she's damn groovy. But at any rate, I went through a gamut of emotions with everybody, and I watched them as they said, "What the fuck is she talking about? The fuck, I just don't get it." And then my one girlfriend, James, you're gonna have to explain this shit to me because this shit doesn't make any sense. It's just ridiculous. You look like you liking this bullshit that just looks ridiculous. So I said, I'll explain it to you. So basically, what I'm going to do here in this video, I'm going to explain what I saw, what it gave me, okay? And let's just start off by saying I did the mess that is lemonade. Girl, I liked it. I liked it. I like what I saw. So let's just get to this, and I'll go ahead and say what it is that I saw, okay? We started off, I think the whole thing encompasses, I'm not even going to say it's her whole life or her life story or her mother's life story, because that's a lot of what was being said. I'm going to say, you know what, if Beyonce was not a performer, a singer, I think she would be just like me. She would be a writer, because I think that this child gets stories in her head. And a lot of things I think she draws from personal experience, but then other things are literally drawn. Sometimes you have to watch her and say, is she depicting a character for me? Remember, she's an actress too. So I think in Lemonade, she was depicting a character. It wasn't all her. Some of it was her, but it wasn't all her. As she went through all of the gambit of being a woman and different parts of being a woman, and how women are viewed here on the planet, and yeah, just in general, and a lot in our community, in the Black community. You can see a lot of influences, like you always can with her. She is always constantly paying homage to, other artists and other people's work. Some people would argue and say she's stealing. She's not stealing. She's not stealing. She's paying homage. She's copying some things that she likes. A lot of times she's doing her version of things that she likes. I don't see that as stealing. She's an artist. It is what it is. Okay, so let's go in. It started off there. I saw when she's walking around with a black hoodie on and all this stuff. I saw moments of self-doubt and depression. And then there was like thoughts of contemplating suicide is what it was. She went on the top of the building and she basically stepped off the ledge. But then, it looked like she was going to hit the ground, but she didn't hit the ground. And I kind of laughed because I thought about that. And I said, you know what, even if it's a dream, it's something I always remember from when I was younger. And they would always say, if you are falling in a dream and you hit the ground, that you actually die, that your heart will actually stop. And I don't know if that's true because I've never hit the ground in a dream, so I don't know. But I could see, with the human body, I could see that happening. I could see, you go knock yourself into shock. I could see that happening. But we're not going to get into that because that's another video for a whole nother time. But anyway, I'm going to try not to get off topic. I will get up on my soapbox on y'all's ass in a minute. But anyway, so she goes through that, but she doesn't hit the ground. She immerses into water. And she's actually inside this house. And she's in this house. And she's talking. And remember, the whole thing is done with poetry. There's poetry in every segment. She's actually reading this poetry. And beautiful poetry. It's really beautiful and dark. And again, that's why I said you need to watch by yourself. And I did. After I literally about 3 o'clock in the morning, I actually sat in my room and I actually watched it again. And I enjoyed it even better when I watched it without all the chitter chatter around me. She was in, my feeling was that she was immersed in the water and it was for self-cleansing because of some of the things that were being said. And I'm going to say you could see influences of being in the bayou. You could see influences of, I think maybe she's watched Coven. I think she watched Coven with American Horror Story, and I wouldn't be surprised if she liked it because you could just see all that. It just seemed like there was a little bit of, we've seen it. There was a lot of stuff from one of my favorite videos that she's ever done has been Haunted, which is so wrapped and laced in voodoo and witchcraft. I thought it was fabulous. So I kind of seen a little bit of that stuff in there. But again, remember now, this is my version. This is what I saw. So I'm not here to argue with you guys. This is just what I saw. So don't start no shit in them comments. You say what you want in those comments and we can start a conversation, but don't start no shit with me. This is what I saw. And I would love to hear, what you saw, but I ain't arguing. Remember, I don't play the Beehive game. So that's that. I live for the Beehive. Beehive's cool. As long as they stay over there with their stuff and don't come over here fucking with me. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so then after that, this was one of the fiercest things I saw, I think in the whole thing, when she comes out of the house and she opens the door and she emerges from the house and the water literally is coming out of the door. Like it's literally rushing out of the door with her. Sort of like being reborn, how there's the fluid and all that, and it comes out as the baby's coming out. It was kind of that kind of thing. But she had this beautiful gold gauze tiered ruffled dress. It was gorgeous. Very provocative, very high fashion, very couture. Dress on. Gorgeous. And she is, at this point, she's walking through town. And hated the shoes. I hated the shoes. I actually would have liked to see her literally walking barefoot, me personally. But I hated the shoes. But that was my own personal thing because I don't like chunky heeled shoes. But I would have loved to see her just walking barefoot. But she was singing at this point. We went into song. So he was singing some song and she kept, and I'm going to say throughout this things that stuck out to me, some lyrics that stuck out to me. She was saying, looking jealous and crazy. And I was like, okay, she's walking. And then after that, you see her walking and she has a bat. She has a baseball bat. And throughout this whole segment, she was displaying like anger and destruction. She literally had a bat. There was fire that was like literally blowing from like around the corner at certain times. And then toward the end of the segment, there was like, she like ran down the street in a monster truck. It just like ran over some trucks. And it actually had like the music of like a marionette, a box, you know, like a jewelry box with a marionette on it playing in the background. It was so eerie. So eerie. I loved it. But that gold gauze dress was everything. Then we go on to another segment where she actually has a cute little half top with a pair of capris and this cute boot down in like a grayish color. But what was fierce was the bitch had a shoulderless goddamn fur coat that was the shit. It had, oh, this coat, girl, stop playing with these folks, Miss Beyonce. It was literally shoulderless. It was cut with a leather halter strap. It was cut like a halter top, but it was a fur coat. It was the shit. So sharp. So sharp. It actually went down to her knees. Oh, and as she's coming out of the house, she was saying, "Are you cheating on me?" Okay, so that was like, stuck. I was like, okay, girl, what you giving? But that's where I guess the anger and all that came from. Okay, anyway, moving on. So she has a shoulderless fur coat. And it kind of went into this whole thing of she was basically fussing. This song was like more of her fussing. It was a lot like Diva. It kind of reminded me, it put me in the mind of like Diva. And she was pretty much fussing, and it basically went, she's almost rapping. She's almost rapping. So I don't think she's channeling her husband at that point. She's almost rapping. And she went into this whole thing of telling you basically how cheating takes a relationship and how it creates distrust in the mate and love as a whole in a woman. You know, I was like, that's kind of deep. So I could relate. That was kind of deep. Because if you've ever been in a relationship and you've been cheated on, I know me personally, I've had a very hard time with trust and all of that. Like, that's like the worst feeling that there is, somebody cheating on you. It's kind of hard to bounce back from that. And it's been a lot of years that I've, trust issues when it comes to mates. I do. And then what stuck out to me, she said, dust to side chicks. And I was like, yes, God, okay. So then we move on. Next segment, she's on this bus with these girls, and it's like a lot of like voodoo. The girls all have like voodoo paint on their face. It's kind of like a voodoo paint or tribal kind of thing. I'm not ready to sit there and explain. I was ready to say, don't get upset when I say voodoo versus tribal. I know they're totally different, but whatever. It was like a mix of the two. So that's that. And some of what she was saying, middle fingers up. I ain't thinking about you. In that segment, one of the most beautiful things that I've seen in a long time, it was Beyonce and goddamn Serena Williams. Serena Williams was so snatched together, playing a role in this portion. And I loved the song. Whatever this song was that she was doing, I absolutely loved. I loved it. I loved the feel of it. But Serena was basically like playing like Beyonce. Beyonce was just in the chair, and it was so funny. I'm gonna tell you what video did it kind of put you in mind of. Sierra, If I Was a Boy, think it's a fellow, it's a boy, and Beyonce's Upgrade You video, kind of like it mixed the two. Beyonce kind of was, it looked like she was kind of doing like Jay-Z's part in the video, like she's like sitting in the chair, like really sitting there, really giving a very stern posture type of thing. And we had Serena actually dancing around, you know, doing the more feminine portion of it the way that Beyonce does in the video. So it's a lot like the Upgrade You video, but I was like, wow, I loved it. I loved the whole imagery of it. I thought it was hot. I thought it was very, very hot, and it even had like a little bit of I don't know, like a voyeuristic lesbian feel to it. I was like, wow, okay. I don't know. I liked it. I was like, wow. I said, that's giving me something, honey. I liked it. But then there was a part of it where Beyonce was literally, her body was bronzed and she had her hair in the only Nefertiti braided up to it. It just went straight up and it went into like a cone. It damn near looked like she had a hat on because I had to keep looking. And it was like, oh my God, no, that's hair. It was flawless. It really was. It was really, really good. And one of the line at the end, she said, he better call Becky with the good hair. I said, girl, here you go, B. There you go. Of course, you don't have to take notes because there's so much going on. Okay, now dig this shit right here. This was deep. I said, girl, Miss Beyonce, girl, you trying it. She says, she started talking about when you have to be careful about your worship. Because, of course, we all know it's a sin to worship anything other than God. We know that. If you don't know that, check it out. It's a sin to worship anyone else other than God, okay? So, that's what's in you all's good book. That's what you're talking about, honey. She was saying, careful not to get lost in sex, and during sexual acts, and find yourself worshiping your mate. And I know some people are not going to, I'm not going to say they're not going to agree. They're not going to admit it. But yes, it is very easy for people to fall into a trap of worshiping their mate. And I'm going to give you this because she said, sometimes when your nipple is in his mouth and he pulls out, you say, oh God. And that's a form of worship. I said, oh, Miss Beyonce, girl, you tried that. But think about it. Think about it now. Nipple in the mouth and he pull out, honey. And you just want him to what? Put it back in. Moving on. I said, oh, she got y'all with that one, honey. Anyway. Okay, so then the next segment we go into this whole thing. I like this song too, but she was going through and there was fire. There was a lot of fire and not so much anger, but more strength and power being depicted in this part. And it was really, she was talking about an independent working girl. And I don't know if she was actually channeling a whore so much, but that's what I got. It was more, I think it was more like a businesswoman, period. Like a really powerful businesswoman, which would be a whore, you know, who is literally struck out and she doesn't have a boss. She's her own boss. And one of the lyrics was, she murdered everybody and I was her witness. Kind of like, very voyeuristic, kind of like she was watching herself doing this. And I was like, okay, I thought that was really, really hot. And then there was a scene, she's literally walking down the hallway. There's fire in the background. There was like a doorway that had fire on it. And she had this beautiful white lace peignoir set. It was really, really, really groovy. I liked it. I really liked that scene. Okay, so then we go straight out of that and goes all the way to the other side of the female gambit to where she starts talking about a little girl and how a little girl watches her mother as she's growing up. And at first she doesn't think that she looks like her mother and everything like that. But then you realize that you are exactly like your mother. And then how you long to be exactly like your mother. The good parts. Not if she's a fucked up bitch, but the good parts about your mother. You know, you long to be like her. You know, you want to wear lipstick and stuff like she did. And you basically are longing to be like your mother. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because that is groovy when a girl longs to be like her mother. And I think it happens. Even when your mother's not quite right. There's something about her that you long to have as a woman. So that was interesting. And then it actually went into, like, this was wild, the twisted relationship that is actually held between a daughter and a father. And then how she finds that same type of relationship with the man that she deals with. And at that point, she showed, like, childhood footage of her and Matthew. And they were actually talking about, like, they showed her interacting with her dad. And then they actually had her interacting, and he's talking to her about her grandfather and all of that. And I think he had actually passed on, you know, at that point, is what it kind of sounded like, the grandfather. But it was funny. I said, wow. And it just kind of like she was talking about pathology, and it was going all the way back to the grandparents, as far as like how Matthew treated Tina and how the grandfather, Matthew's father, undoubtedly treated the grandmother, whoever her other grandmother was, and all that. I just thought that was kind of weird. And there was like a song, and it was more on a country feel that she was doing, and she was saying, my daddy warned me about men like you. When men like you came around, my daddy said shoo. And I was like, very, you know, I don't know what it's going to do for her career-wise, but if you would have given it to Carrie Underwood, it'd be a hit. Absolutely. Now, I don't know what it's going to do for B, you know, because B can do amazing things sometimes. Yeah. Just like, because how K. Michelle's trying to break into country music. I don't know what that's going to do, but the song itself is fierce. The lyric is fierce. Had you given it to Carrie Underwood, you would make some money off of it because it would be a hit. Anyway, so that's that. Moving on to the next segment. We're almost done here, y'all. I know I've been babbling on, but it is what it is. It was an hour long. This thing was an hour long. She started talking about the possibility of coming back from infidelity is what I got. In this segment, one of the things she said was, if we're going to heal, let it be glorious. And Jay-Z actually was in this part. He actually did a cameo in this part. And you seem like him loving on her, basically. And they kissed, and you see them kind of laying around, and it was just that kind of thing. It seemed like there was something that had gone on, and they were like making up, but not like making up sex. It was like literally, really, really making up and meaning this shit. Okay. Then there was some imagery of Nina Simone in the background. I don't know if you guys saw that, but there was a Nina Simone album playing, and there was a Nina Simone album cover over there. And one thing that stuck out that she said, every promise don't work out that way. So that's what I got out of that. That there is a possibility of coming back from infidelity after it happens. Then it moved into the last thing was like about raising your own children. And that's where they, you know, and it was paying homage to women, older women at that point, you know, women that are older than her. And there was a really powerful piece in there where they were actually showed mothers who have actually lost their sons to violence. these mothers had lost their sons to violence specifically. And then it was saying, you would hear women in the background talking. It was also I'd say she's a middle-aged woman, and she said, when your back's against the wall and the wall's against your back, who you going to call? That's what she said. I love Jesus. And I was like, wow, that's deep. Yeah, that was deep. And then the last thing that I saw that made all the whole lemonade thing work out, there was a woman named Hattie. And they were celebrating, I think it was like a 90th birthday, and you heard Hattie say, when I have lemons, I just make lemonade. And I was like, yep, girl, I get it. I got it. I don't know about anybody else, but I got it. So this mess of lemonade, I got you, B. I got you. And maybe I didn't get it, but in my mind, I got it, and what I got, I liked. So, I'll be interested to see what you guys say down in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think you saw. Naturally, of course, you can disagree with me. Tell me if you disagree and why of what I saw. And tell me what you saw, and maybe I'll see it different. Maybe we can have an aha moment, how that goes. You all know how I do. But that's it. I'm done. So Lemonade. And of course, there's an album. The album was released right in the midst of, Twitter was blowing up and carrying on. It was released. She got you motherfuckers, honey. It was re-released right while the shit was on TV. That girl is a marketing goddamn mastermind. She really is. I just love her. Anyway. So that's it on the video, guys. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You know how all that works. Leave your stuff in the comments. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. All right, guys. Later.